Welcome, curious minds, to another deep dive. Today, we're plunging into the icy depths of the North Atlantic and soaring to the dazzling heights of Hollywood history.
We are.
Our focus, the legendary RMS Titanic, and of course, the epic 1997 film that brought its story to a new global generation.
It's a truly fascinating intersection, isn't it? You've got historical tragedy, massive human ambition, and then this layer of cinematic artistry on top.
Absolutely.
And for this deep dive, our sources cover, well, pretty much everything. Comprehensive historical accounts of the ship, detailed insights into James Cameron's film, the production, the reception.
And its cultural footprint, which is huge.
Exactly. We're really aiming to go beyond the basic story everyone knows.
Right. Our mission for you, our dedicated listener, is to explore how this real-life disaster almost unbelievably became one of the most successful and, frankly, talked about films ever. We're going to uncover some surprising facts, maybe some you haven't heard, about both the ship and the movie, and really unpack why this particular story just continues to resonate so deeply.
Still gets people talking, doesn't it?
It really does. Okay, let's get started. So before the blockbuster movie, there was the marvel, the RMS Titanic. It wasn't just a ship. It was like a symbol of its time. Can you set the scene? What made this vessel so extraordinary? Why all the confidence?
Absolutely. Well, the Titanic launched in 1911, built by Harland and Wolff in Belfast. It wasn't just the largest ship afloat at the time, which it was. It was conceived as this floating palace, a real statement of Edwardian luxury and engineering power. It was meant to be the absolute pinnacle of crossing the Atlantic.
Right.
They designed it to attract the wealthiest passengers. We're talking amenities that were just, well, unheard of at sea back then. A gymnasium, a heated swimming pool.
A pool in a ship in 1912.
Yeah, a heated one, and a lavish Turkish bath, Victorian style. And then, of course, that grand staircase, the one descending 7 decks. Totally. It was like the social hub where high society would parade. It wasn't just transport. It was an experience, a status symbol reflecting the Gilded Age. And yeah, many people genuinely believed it was, quote, unsinkable.
And that unsinkable idea, it wasn't just pure marketing hype, right? People believed it had a basis in the design. What were those advanced safety features and, well, where did it all go wrong?
That's a really crucial point. It was built with advanced features for the time. It had 16 primary compartments divided by 15 bulkheads.
Okay.
And it had these watertight doors that could be closed automatically from the bridge, or you could close them manually at each door. The thinking was, if a few compartments flooded, the others would keep it afloat.
Right, so it's on paper.
Right. But the fatal flaw, the thing they maybe didn't fully anticipate, was that only 8 of those bulkheads went high enough, up to E deck or D deck. If enough compartments were breached, which is what happened, water could literally spill over the tops of those shorter bulkheads into the next compartment and then the next. It basically bypassed the whole system.
So theoretical unsinkability, not action.
Exactly, as we tragically found out.
So with this grand design, flawed as it was, the stage was set for its maiden voyage, Southampton to New York, April 1912. But things got off to a shaky start, right? A near disaster even before it properly left port.
It did, yeah. It's kind of a chilling foreshadowing. Just minutes after leaving the dock in Southampton, the sheer size of the Titanic, the water it displaced created this powerful suction effect.
Right.
It actually snapped the mooring ropes of another ship docked nearby, the SS City of New York.
Seriously?
Yeah. This much smaller liner swung out dangerously close, like just 4 feet away from hitting the Titanic's stern.
Wow.
A tugboat, the Vulcan, had to race in and literally push the city of New York away. It averted a collision by, well, a hair's breadth. It actually delayed their departure by about an hour, too.
Imagine the nerves right at the start.
Right. And that wasn't the only hidden issue. Get this. There was another danger brewing even before it sailed.
What was that?
A coal fire. It had actually started in one of the forward coal bunkers, bunker number 6, feeding boiler rooms 5 and 6, about 10 days before the ship even left Belfast.
10 days before.
Yeah. And this fire just smoldered and burned for several days into the voyage. Passengers didn't know, but the crew, particularly the stokers, were battling it constantly, trying to shovel the burning coal out into the furnaces.
Trying to burn it off, basically.
Exactly. They finally got it extinguished on April 14th.
The day it hit the iceberg.
The very same day. It just adds another layer, doesn't it? Another underlying risk on this supposedly perfect ship.
That really puts a different spin on the journey. So with those unsettling precursors, the Titanic heads out, steaming towards its infamous end. What happened that night, April 14th, 1912?
Well, at 11:40 p.m. ship's time, the lookout, Frederick Fleet, spots an iceberg dead ahead.
The famous sighting.
Yep. First Officer William Murdoch immediately orders a hard starboard turn, that's a turn to port, left, and engines full astern. But the ship was just too big, too fast, moving at about 22 knots. It couldn't turn quickly enough.
Too late.
Way too late. Its starboard side scraped along the iceberg for about 10 seconds. And what we now know, mainly from studying the wreck, is that the iceberg didn't necessarily tear a huge gash.
Oh.
It seems it more likely buckled the hull plates, popped rivets, and separated the seams below the waterline. This let water flood into 5 compartments and partially into a 6th.
And the design could only handle 4?
Exactly 4. With 5 or more compromised, its fate was sealed. It was going to sink.
And the sinking itself. The final moments were incredibly dramatic, and some details were debated for years until the wreck was found.
They were. In those last 2.5 hours, the sinking accelerated. Between about 2:10 and 2:15 a.m., the bow dipped low enough that the boat deck started going under. Then, chillingly, the lights went out. The electrical power failed.
Total darkness.
Yeah. As the bow filled with water, the stern rose incredibly high out of the sea, propellers completely exposed. The stress on the hull became immense.
Right.
And the ship broke in two, right between the second and third funnels. That was a huge point of contention among survivors, but the wreck discovery in '85 confirmed it.
Wow.
The stern then rose almost vertically, hung there for a few moments, and then plunged down, foundering completely at 2:20 a.m., finding the wreck, seeing the 2 main pieces. It just changed everything we thought we knew about those final minutes.
It's absolutely staggering to visualize.
Yeah.
The horror of it, and that one night, that single event, it changed maritime safety forever, didn't it? The aftermath led to some critical changes.
Oh, absolutely critical. It was a brutal wake-up call. The disaster directly led to the Radio Act of 1912 in the U.S.
Okay.
That required ships to have 24-hour radio watch and backup power sources so distress calls wouldn't be missed, which happened with the California nearby Titanic.
Right, a key failure.
A huge one. More significantly, it pushed nations to create the first international convention for the safety of life at sea SOLAS in 1914.
SOLAS still exists today.
Still the foundation of maritime safety. It mandated fundamental things: enough lifeboats for everyone on board, regular lifeboat drills, standardized emergency procedures, and very directly because of the iceberg, the International Ice Patrol was formed.
Monitoring the North Atlantic.
Run by the U.S. Coast Guard. They still track icebergs today. It's a direct living legacy of the Titanic disaster, trying to make sure nothing like it happens again.
Amazing. So fast forward over 80 years, the Titanic is this powerful, tragic memory. Then James Cameron, known for big, ambitious films, decides to tackle it. What was his vision? How did he even pitch this?
Well, his pitch to 20th Century Fox was famously simple, almost legendary now: Romeo and Juliet on the Titanic.
Right.
His idea wasn't just to make a historical disaster movie. He wanted to weave that huge event together with a really compelling fictional love story. You know, Jack Dawson, played by Leo DiCaprio, and Rose DeWitt Bukater, Kate Winslet.
The heart of the film for many.
Exactly. Cameron saw that love story as the emotional anchor. The way to connect a modern audience, people maybe generations removed from 1912, with the human side of the tragedy, to make them care deeply about the people on that ship, not just the event itself.
A clever approach to make history personal, and his dedication to getting the historical details right. It's legendary. What kind of lengths did he go to?
Extraordinary lengths. Almost obsessive, really. He personally made 11 deep-sea dives down to the actual Titanic wreck in 1995.
11 dives.
11, using Russian submersibles. This wasn't just for show. He got actual footage used in the film's opening. And get this. He ended up spending more time with the real wreck than the original passengers spent on the ship during its entire maiden voyage.
That's incredible.
Isn't it? And beyond that, he researched obsessively. Details about the crew, the passengers, created minute-by-minute timelines of the sinking. He even had historical experts go through his script line by line, detail by detail, to check accuracy on everything from, like, the carpet patterns to character names.
Wow. But that kind of vision, that level of detail, it must have come with huge challenges during production. I've heard some pretty wild stories from that set.
Oh, the production was notoriously difficult. It became the most expensive film ever made at that time. The budget just kept climbing, hitting around $200 million.
Which was massive then.
Unheard of. This led to huge delays, massive pressure from the studio. Fox was apparently panicking. And the physical toll on the cast and crew was intense. People, including Kate Winslet, got sick, colds, flu, kidney infections from spending hours and hours in tanks full of cold water.
Right, for the sinking scenes.
Yeah. And then there was that truly bizarre incident during filming in Nova Scotia. Someone apparently spiked the crew's chowder with PCP, the hallucinogen.
No way.
Yes. Over 50 people, including Cameron himself, ended up in the hospital totally disoriented. Cameron managed to vomit before it fully hit him, but still, they never found out who did it.
That's insane. How do you even continue filming after that?
Right. It just shows the kind of pressure cooker environment it must have been.
And technically, he was pushing boundaries too, right? Recreating the ship, the sinking, the special effects were groundbreaking.
Absolutely groundbreaking for 1997. He really pioneered digital effects, especially for creating realistic water and smoke, things that often looked pretty unconvincing in earlier films.
Yeah, those always look fake.
Exactly. But he didn't just rely on CGI. They built enormous physical sets and models. They had a stunning 45-foot-long miniature of the whole ship for exterior shots and a massive 65-foot-long model of the stern section that could actually break in two on hydraulics for the sinking sequence.
Wow.
And for the interiors, like the flooding scenes, they used this huge 5-million-gallon water tank. There's a famous story where they flooded the grand staircase, set a near-perfect replica by dumping 90,000 gallons of water onto it.
Oh, my God.
It hit with such force, it ripped the entire staircase from its steel foundations and just obliterated it. Got the shot, though. But it showed the terrifying power they were trying to replicate.
And then there's the Heart of the Ocean necklace. That was pure fiction, made for the movie, but it became this iconic, real thing almost.
It did, yeah. It's a brilliant plot device in the film. For the movie props, the London jewelers Asprey & Gerard made 3 versions using cubic zirconias, but designed beautifully in that Edwardian style.
Looks like real enough.
Absolutely. But then, after the movie exploded, the demand for Titanic stuff was just off the charts. So Asprey & Gerard were actually commissioned to create a real heart of the ocean.
Using real gems.
Oh, yeah. The result was this incredible necklace, platinum setting, a massive 171-carat heart-shaped Celine sapphire surrounded by 103 diamonds.
Wow.
It was later sold at a charity auction for $1.4 million. And part of the deal was that Celine Dion wore it to the 1998 Oscars.
Oh, connecting it all. And speaking of Celine Dion, My Heart Will Go On. That song is almost as famous as the movie. How did that come about? I heard Cameron wasn't keen initially.
That's right, he wasn't. It's a great story. The composer, James Horner, who tragically died a few years ago, he'd already used the Norwegian singer Sissel Kyrkjebø for some haunting, wordless vocals in the score.
Yeah, those were beautiful.
Weren't they? Well, Horner secretly wrote the music for My Heart Will Go On with the lyricist Will Jennings. He just felt the film needed this big emotional ballad. He knew Cameron didn't want any pop songs, especially over the end credits. He thought it would be too commercial, maybe cheesy.
Right.
So Horner got Celine Dion to record a demo, kind of on the sly. Then he waited for just the right moment when Cameron was maybe in a good mood or perhaps feeling the pressure from the studio about the budget.
Played his cards right.
Exactly. He played the demo for Cameron. Apparently, Cameron listened a few times, and despite his initial worries about, quote, going commercial, he eventually caved. He realized the song's power and, maybe also saw the potential for a massive hit single to help the film's prospects.
Which it certainly did. Now, before Titanic came out, the buzz was terrible, right? Everyone expected this huge $200 million flop. A folly, they called it. So what actually happened when people finally saw it?
It was a complete 180-degree turnaround, just astonishing. It premiered in Tokyo in November 97, hit the U.S. in December. And despite all the negative press, the whispers of disaster, the criticisms of Cameron's hubris, it became this unprecedented global phenomenon. It didn't just do well, it shattered records. It was the first movie ever to gross over $1 billion worldwide.
$1 billion in 1997 dollars.
Exactly. It ultimately pulled in about $2.264 billion globally. It's still the highest grossing film of all time for 12 years until Cameron beat his own record with Avatar.
Only Cameron could beat Cameron.
Pretty much. It completely changed the game for blockbusters, for historical epics, for what was considered possible at the box office.
That's incredible commercially. But what about critically? Did the critics agree with the audiences?
Overwhelmingly, yes. It got hugely positive reviews for the most part. Critics praised the stunning visual effects, obviously, but also the performances. Leo, Kate, Gloria Stewart as Old Rose were all singled out.
She was amazing.
Wasn't she? They also praised the direction, production values, Horner score, the cinematography. It was seen as this epic achievement. It holds an 88% rating on Rotten Tomatoes, got that rare A+ cinema score from audiences.
Which is hard to get.
Very hard. And then the Oscars. It tied the record held by Ben-Hur since 1959 11 Academy Awards, including Best Picture and Best Director for Cameron. It just swept the board. It became the benchmark.
Remarkable vindication for Cameron. But, okay, despite the success, it wasn't universally loved, right? It did spark debates, even some backlash.
Oh, definitely. Not everyone was on board. You had filmmakers like Robert Altman calling it the most dreadful piece of work. Well, yeah. Some critics found the dialogue a bit clunky, or the love story too melodramatic, maybe overshadowing the historical tragedy. Some nitpicked historical inaccuracies, though Cameron aimed for accuracy overall. But you can't deny the cultural impact. That line,
"I'm the king of the world."
Exactly. It became instantly iconic, quoted everywhere. The movie wasn't just a film, it was a cultural event.
And, okay, we have to talk about it. The great door debate. Probably the most enduring argument from the whole film. Could Jack have fit on that floating door with Rose?
Ah, yes. The floating door. Or technically a piece of wooden paneling, right?
Right.
It's amazing how much discussion that one scene has generated for like 25 years. Fans arguing, doing diagrams.
Totally.
Cameron initially dismissed it, called the debate silly, but it just wouldn't die down. So eventually, for the film's 25th anniversary, he actually commissioned a scientific study.
You really did?
He did. With hypothermia experts and stunt doubles, they recreated the scenario. And their conclusion, similar to what the show Mythbusters found back in 2012.
Which was?
That, well, maybe physically both could have squeezed onto the paneling, but the buoyancy would have been compromised. It would have sunk lower in the freezing water. And it's highly unlikely both would have survived the hypothermia. It depended on a lot of variables. But scientifically, probably not survivable for both.
So Jack's sacrifice was necessary.
According to Cameron's test, yeah. He said Jack needed to die in the script anyway, but it shows how much that moment resonated, how invested people were.
Definitely. So looking beyond the debates, the box office, the Oscars, what's the lasting legacy here? How has this film shaped how we remember the Titanic and maybe even how epic stories are told?
I think its legacy is huge and multifaceted. It continues to be celebrated, obviously.
Yeah.
Getting selected for the National Film Registry in 2017 was a big deal, recognizing its cultural and historical significance.
Right.
But beyond just the film world, its popularity massively reignited public interest in the actual historical event. It led to a wave of new books, documentaries, museum exhibits.
The one in Belfast.
Exactly. The Titanic Belfast Visitor Center, built right on the site where the ship was constructed in the Harland and Wolff shipyard. That probably wouldn't exist, or certainly not on that scale, without the film boosting interest. It didn't just tell the story. It kind of made a whole new generation care about the Titanic itself.
It really embedded it in popular culture for good.
For good, yeah.
So from this grand, tragically flawed vessel, a real symbol of its age, to this cinematic masterpiece that just captured the world's imagination and pushed filmmaking forward. The story of Titanic, both real and filmed, really reminds us of, I guess, the human capacity for huge ambition, but also for deep connection, even when facing, well, the unthinkable.
It really does. And maybe it makes you think, what is it about certain stories, whether they're based on true events or totally fictionalized or like a mix, what makes them grab hold of our collective imagination for decades, even centuries?
Yeah.
What draws us so powerfully to these tales of grand spectacle, intense love, and ultimately devastating loss? Why do we keep returning to them?
Something to definitely think about until our next deep dive. Thanks for joining us.